Evolution. This is my Google page. And one of the first thing you see is ape turning into human. We have a very simple view of what evolution is. If you click Google Images, everything on there will be just like that. However, there are many things that we don't see in evolution. Let's talk about that. Evolution. This is such a broad topic to talk about. So I will only point out some major things that we will need to cover before going into origins of life. The first essential questions or general topic I would like to talk about is why is there such a stunning diversity of life? And what is evolution, which is the basics, and the origins and the theory of evolution, which we will be talking about the most. Evolution is any change in the heritable trait or characteristic of biological population over a history of generations. I mean, it happens every day around us, and is a key essential point we need to cover before going into origins of life. The central idea of evolution are that life has a history and it has changed over time, and that different species share a common ancestor. A lot of people might think evolution is the origin of life, but evolution is more of a process than calling it an origin. Here are some categories of evolution. Genetic variation. All life forms vary genetically within a population. Without genetic variation, some of the basic mechanism of evolutionary change cannot operate. There are three primary sources that genetic variation has linked with. One is mutation, gene flow, and sex. And they're all linked together. I'll talk about that in more in detail. On the picture of genetic variation, we have a bunch of dogs that have different traits and different genetic codes that are different species. And on the right, we have a wheat that have a different genetic code as well and are physically different. Natural selection. Organisms with traits that are favorable to their survival and reproduction are more likely to pass on their genes to the next generation. Natural selection, theorized by Darren, is a way in evolution by which does not need to guide to bring out the breed of evolution. Natural selection is a gradual process by which biological traits become either more or less common in a population as a function of the effect inherited trait on the differential reproductive. On the picture of natural selection, there are some most famous pictures that are crucial to evolution and its origins of life. One on the left, the crow is eating the favorite bug he likes and eating only the green bugs because the beetle, because the orange beetle is camouflaged to the background or the environment. So the orange bug or beetle moves on with its inheritance and its genetic code, which allows them to be in natural selection. And green bugs die out because they get all eaten by the crows. And on the left, it is a famous AP biology lab or experiment or question. One with the black moth and the white moth with the sparkles, black dots on it. However, it shows a various natural selection how one will die out and one will live and its inheritance as what the left picture shows. Same way. And the bottom from the moth is a Darwin's finches. It's one of the most famous pictures in evolution. And Darwin went to different islands and found natural selection in different finches all around the islands. And it's depending on their backgrounds, depending on their environment, they have survived and they have produced natural selection. Inheritance. Genetic traits are inherited from parents and are passed on to offspring. We can see this every day in our lives. From the color of our hair, from color of our eyes. Inheritance are everywhere. For example, one of the famous experiment and one of the first experiment was by Mendel and his Mendelian genetics with the genotypes and the phenotypes. One of the very important characteristics of evolution, phylogenetic trees. Phylogenetic trees represents a pattern of ancestry. If you see the picture of phylogenetic tree of life, you see bacteria, archaea, and eukaryota. Phylogeny is a lot like reading a family tree. The root of the tree represents the ancestral lineage, and the tips of the branches represent the descendant of the ancestor. As you move from the root to tips, you are moving forward in time, which is very important in evolution. Mutations, a change in DNA, the hereditary material of life. Mutations in an organism, DNA affects how it looks and how it behaves and its psychology of organisms. So change in organisms' DNA can cause change in all aspects of its life. Mutations are mostly random. It can be beneficial, neutral, or harmful to your organism. Mutations are caused by many things. One of them is DNA failed to copy accurately, and external influence can create mutations such as radioactive materials or radiation, any external effects. Gene flow. Any movement of genes from one population to another. Gene flow includes a lot of different kinds of events. It's an important source of genetic variation in many sense. The picture shows us that a red bird and a blue bird in the opposite side of the mountain. The blue bird decides to go to the red side, which is population B, and the red bird is on the population A. And also you can see on the bottom with the beetles of migrating, which is also gene flow. They have different genetic materials moving one population to another. Adaptation, the adjustment or changes in behavior, physiology and structure of an organism to become more suited to an environment. Adaptation is a feature that is common in a population because it provides some improved functions. Adaptations are well fitted to their function and are produced by natural selection. Adaptation in the picture shows a leaf bug that is disguised as a leaf, and it's been like that. It's an important fact of evolution that a lot of animals will eat the bug except for that because of the natural selection. And there are many adaptations to humans on the right picture, to humans, cats, and to whales and bats. And on the bottom you see a kangaroo. And kangaroo, the most significant about kangaroo is that it needs its tail to balance itself. And it can jump really high, which is needed for the survival of the kangaroo and its tail, because it needs to jump high. It has a really long leg. There's more vocab such as coevolution, cooperation, microevolution, macroevolution, isolation, which all links to evolution, but we don't have time, we don't have materials to go over it. So if you want to know more about more vocabs of evolution, you should go search on Google or something. However, the topic is about origins of life. I don't have all that time to just focus on vocabularies of evolution and the fundamentals of it. So we'll be moving quickly. Before we head into the topic on origins of life, which will take few minutes, I want to show you guys a clip from a movie called Noah that just came out. And I'm not showing for religious purposes, but in matter of a visual aid. The movie Noah is 70% inaccurate according to the Bible. It is also made by Aronofsky, who is a very strong atheist. The visual of how Aronofsky used in the movie on life and origins had most famous theories in evolution and its origins and how it came to be. And on this part, he directly quoted from the Bible as well. And is very revolutionary because Hollywood uses this to make visual aids. It uses scientific theory to create such amazing graphics and combine major theories into this. So enjoy.
Let me tell you a story. The first story my father told me and the first story that I told each of you. In the beginning, there was nothing. Nothing but the silence of an infinite darkness. But the breath of the Creator fluttered against the face of the void, whispering, "Let there be light." And light was. And it was good. The first day. And then the formless light began to take on substance and shape. The second day. And our world was born. Our beautiful, fragile home. And a great warming light nurtured its days. And a lesser light ruled the nights. And there was evening and morning. Another day. And the waters of the world gathered together. And in their midst emerged dry land. Another day passed. And the ground put forth the growing things, a thick blanket of green stretching across all creation. And the waters, too, teemed with life. Great creatures of the deep that are no more. Vast multitudes of fish, some of which may still swim beneath these seas. And soon, the sky was streaming with birds. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. Now the whole world was full of living beings. Everything that creeps, everything that crawls, and every beast that walks upon the ground. And it was good. It was all good. There was light and air and water and soil, all clean and unspoiled. There were plants and fish and fowl and beast, each after their own kind, all part of the greater whole, all in their place, and all was in balance. It was paradise, the jewel in the Creator's palm.
Since evolution is a broad topic, I cannot explain all the things and all the theories, bunch of origins of life theories. There's so many, but Miss Mosa wanted me to cover a new thing in this evolution topic, so I just picked origins of life because it sounded interesting. The 100% of proof on origins of life does not exist, but many scientists are still in research to find the answer. Sorry if I can't pronounce this, but here are some top theories across the globe. Panspermia, Darwin's theory of biological evolution, primordial soup or chemical evolution, intelligent design and evolution. Panspermia is the hypothesis that life exists throughout the universe distributed by meteorites, asteroids, comets, and planetoids. And it's basically in Greek word translated as seeds everywhere. Seeds meaning life forms or life in other universe that came to Earth by meteorites, asteroids, or comets and formed colonies of life and that evolved into what we have today. A famous theory and discovery is biological evolution by Darren. Darwin's theory of biological evolution states that all life on Earth might have originated from our common ancestor. For example, simple organisms that reproduce using natural selection. Fossil records back up the theory of Darwin, and all primitive life began with some cellular colony, which is the oldest fossil record on life human has found, which was 3.5 billion years ago. That fossil record still remains and on record and is basically the most proven oldest living thing on Earth. The most famous and most scientifically proven theory is that life originated from chemistry, aka primordial soup. This theorized that the life would have been started by its element of chemistry. All things have chemistry, including living things, that always chemical reaction, non-living chemistry would have created the life. Evidence is that a lot of asteroid has chemicals such as amino acid on Earth. Primordial soup or life by chemistry is the chemistry itself. The definition is the study of matter. Life emerged from the chemistry, and living cells are made of special molecules, and metabolic pathway can be example of chemical reaction and organized into our modern life. Another example could be in our body, could be like proteins, genes, cell membranes, which are all lives. And every known matter is made out of atoms and protons and electrons and neutrons. But so every matter, maybe not dark matter or something, but every matter known to humans are made out of atoms. Last but not least is intelligent design and evolution. It is something that textbooks and school do not teach today, which is intelligent design. Intelligent design holds that living organisms are so complex that they must have been created by some kind of higher force. In 1987, the US Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional that states cannot require public school to balance evolution lesson by teaching of intelligent design. So we don't learn this, so I wanted to do something new. The reason why I brought this theory in is even though it's not taught by school and most textbooks, is that most scientists today in modern world and in United States and across globally are very religious, and a lot of them believes in some kind of intelligent design. It doesn't have to be a creationism, it's a two different things. So this is another hypothesis. This is another theory. So Los Angeles Times is telling us that while the science community is less likely than the general public to believe God or higher power, there is still just over half their number who think there is more life than which can be verified scientifically. Survey of the general public shows that 95% believe in God or higher power. And according to the survey, a member of American Association for Advancement of Science conducted a Pew Research Center in May and June this year, and majority of scientists, which is 51%, say that they believe in intelligent design, while 41% do not. So it's just another theory that a lot of people believe in, and I think that should be. I'm a very open-minded guy, and I think what we should do is still study this and be mindful about it. Even Darwin, although not creationism, or maybe not intelligent design, but still believed in some kind of power. Darwin said, from such low and intermediate form, both animals and plants may have been developed, and if we admit this, we must likewise admit that all organic beings which have ever lived on this earth may be descended from someone primordial form. Many of us think that Darwin was an atheist because of his theory on evolution, but he was actually Anglican and he was baptized when he was young, and he was told that he became a Christian before his death. And what's my point is that intelligent design, like most scientists do believe in it. Not all of it, like 50% maybe, but I'm just saying that the theory of intelligent design is well widespread right now, and it is something that to be studied and to think about. If it is wrong, if it is wrong. If it is right, it's right. There are many scientific proof that intelligent design brought us. Even evolution can count as intelligent design, as what the clip Noah showed us. This is the end of my presentation on evolution and basis of origins of life, just to cover a new topic. And thanks for watching. Be mindful. I thank Bill Nye the Science Guy and Ken Ham from the debate that to keep open-minded and be mindful about things and put personal feelings aside and put the scientific evidence around the world to put on the theories that the world needs. If you want to see the debate, it'll be on the description bottom below.